Hello and welcome to another rousing edition of Trending Topics with BB. I am your humble host, Brooke Brown, hence the BB. Well, we are back for an exciting episode. Before I introduce my guest, I want to encourage you, wherever you're listening to this podcast, please leave a favorable rating or comment, particularly out there in Apple Podcast or Stitcher or anywhere where there could be a rating. It helps this podcast be found by other listeners, and I thank you for doing so. Otherwise, for any other updates concerning this podcast, please log on to the official website at trendingtopicswithbb.podcast.com or just Google Trending Topics with BB, and all the links from social media to the website will pop up in your search results, and you can find information. And along that line, you can order lovely merchandise with the podcast logo. I have gotten a couple orders out there from people that follow this podcast from our wonderful partner at TeePublic. That can be found on the website under the merchandise tab, or if you're on the TeePublic website and search for Trending Topics with BB, you'll see the items that have the logo on it. And thank you so much to those that have ordered some sort of item. All right, well, my guest today on the podcast has been one of my favorites to talk to because she is a badass in the trance music scene as a DJ, as a producer. She is known as Nifra, and also as the Queen of Trance, a lot of us deem her, but is a wonderful human. And also, I just wanted to chat about her career. You will hear a lot about the recent projects, success of her new compilation album, as well as how she got into trance music. And so without further ado, I give you my wonderful chat with Nifra. Well, welcome, Nifra, to Trending Topics with BB. I appreciate you joining me for the podcast.
Hey, how are you?
Great. I wanted to highlight the fact that you have a new mix compilation out. You were on A State of Trance, did the guest mix a couple weeks back. But before we get to all of the goodies that have been going on, I kind of want to start a little bit with kind of your background. I've been following you for many years in the Cold Harbor family. I saw you perform with Marcus probably about 4 or 5 years ago in Phoenix. And I've been a fan of yours for a while now. And I kind of want to get your background and kind of what brought you to trance music and DJing.
Well, actually, I started as a little girl. I was just 13 years old when I became completely obsessed with electronic dance music. And it was by just watching MTV, and here in Europe, we had a certain, artists that were constantly being played. And that was like ATB, Kai Tracid, all these Euro trance guys. And that's how I fell in love with this music, basically, because sometimes it was just instrumental songs, and you just really felt the emotions coming out of it. I didn't really need like an acoustic track per se, or like a real instrument track. I could just listen to the electronic composition and I would completely fall in love with it. And that's what was so inspiring, and just I was just blown away by it. And I started to collect music by these artists, and later by collecting and discovering more and more artists, I got to Tiesto, for example. So it was a little bit closer to the style that I actually wanted to play much later. And after that was Marcus, and that was it for me. I mean, Marcus's sound, the Cold Harbor sound, was I mean, till this day, it's my favorite sound, and I just absolutely love the feel of that sound. And I first started with production when I was around 16, just really basic tracks. I was alone in my city in the eastern Slovakia, where nobody else was doing what I was doing. I basically discovered everything on internet, and that's how it started. And later I just went to club shows, electronic club shows. It wasn't trance only. it was all kinds of styles, and I started to meet people and, you know, also DJ myself. So that's how it all started.
Awesome. And you mentioned early exposure by watching MTV, but did you have access to many? I know being from Slovakia, did you have access to like a state of trance, or what was kind of
Yeah,
your exposure?
that came later. Once I had internet, I think I first got internet when I went to high school, so I was like 15, 16, and that's when the whole thing just opened up for me, because till then I was just literally collecting CDs, and we were exchanging with friends who also had some collections, and we were just burning the CDs, and just, you know, that's how it was back then. So um once there was internet, I could that's when it all uh opened up even more for me, and I was discovering so many artists, and I was getting inspired by so many artists.
And you mentioned that like your favorite sound brought you to Cold Harbor. What is it about Cold Harbor and Marcus that has just been great for you to collaborate with and become a part of?
Well, I was always a big fan of a more progressive, darker sound, and especially the Cole Harbor sound was just really deep bass lines, and just like a really, we call it Hoover bass, which is just, it's so huge, and plucky melodies, and just a really progressive, uh, beats and stuff. And it's just, when I was listening to all kinds of trance, I loved everything. But when it came to that, when I heard that Hoover bass, I was completely like in another dimension. So I knew that this is what I want to do. This is the sound that I want to do. And of course, the sound progressed and evolved over the years, because this was like, I don't know, 2004 or something, 2005, and now we are 15 years later, and yeah, the sound evolved. It can be really big room, it can be really driving, the Cole Harbor sound, and I love the evolution. I really love how it progressed, and we even play the Cole Harbor stuff on the main stages, which is completely different how it was before, but I absolutely love it. I love the progression.
Well, one of my favorite collaborations, you released a track for Transmission in 2015. Wasn't it
Yeah.
the creation? And you collaborated with Marcus, and that's one of my favorite tracks to this day. Kind of talk about how that came about, because that was one of the highlights of listening to a lot of the sets that year. Was
Uh-huh.
that was the theme. So
Yeah, that was a huge year for me, 2015. I was definitely, yeah, I always think about Dark Harbor period as my breakthrough, but when it comes to like actually breakthrough on international scale, I think the year 2015 was the year, because I joined SMG Schultz Music Group just a year before that, and a lot of stuff happened during that time, which was actually leading to collaboration with Marcus. And when we started to collab on the track, um, he was like, yeah, this is gonna be the transmission theme. And I was like, what? I mean, I'm from Slovakia, and I played transmission a year before, or 2 years. No, it was actually a year before, in my home country. And I'm just so very close to this event, just because it's, Czech Republic is around the corner, Czechoslovakia. And, we feel like it's the same thing, we still feel that way. And so having the track being transmissions theme was really, really huge. And I remember when Marcus brought me on a stage, and I never stood at such a big stage before, because that's like 20,000 people, and it was just amazing, really, really amazing. So yeah, this year 2015 was definitely my breakthrough year, and absolutely huge.
so since then, um, is that the same year you started Rebel Radio,
Yeah.
your monthly series? Oh, how have you seen that grow in terms of the rebels that were fans, our name of yours? So how has that grown and helped with your career?
I used to have a radio show before that called Be Progressed, and that was, I had this radio show for also, I don't even know how many years, like 7 years or something. And it was the beginning when I was, I was not really thinking too much about, the whole group, and my fans, because I was just really like upcoming artist. And then I was like, you know what, I just want to do something else. I want to do something that represents me and my personality. And I'm a rebel myself. As a woman in this industry, you gotta be extremely tough and just rebel and just never giving up. And so I decided that I want to call this radio show Rebel Radio, and all my fans to call them Rebels because it makes complete sense, And so yeah, that's how it started, and it grew a lot. And yeah, I'm getting so many messages from people like that they're enjoying the mixes, and it's spreading. So it's good to see.
I've enjoyed listening to them monthly because, we have the weekly shows that everybody puts
Yeah.
on, but I like that yours is monthly because you put a lot of thought into what's going on in trance and the different styles. So
Yeah. Like I was thinking about like, should I do a weekly show bi-weekly? But I just wanted to put really into the mix things that I really, really like. And that's why it's just a monthly 1 hour show. And besides that, I'm doing so many other things that I just didn't want to do like a weekly show. It would not make sense. And it also is a lot of work, trust me. And I'm doing everything myself. I don't have any team that is actually doing things, or like somebody's doing radio show, or somebody's taking care of that, promos. I don't have that. I'm doing everything myself. So just trying to stay busy, but not going absolutely insane with all the all the work.
before we talk about the compilation, I do want to kind of touch back about something you just mentioned of being like the rebel, being a woman in this industry. What have what has been like, obviously the obvious of being a woman, but I think it's great that you're kind of breaking strides, and you a lot of people call you the queen of trance these days. So what has it been like being part of a boys club? Because me as a woman, I think it's great that you're doing as well as you are and you keep striving. So what has been your motivation going forward, being that could be kind of toxic, I guess?
You know what? I grew up with male friends. I grew up with my brother. I have two brothers, younger brothers, and I only have cousins who are male as well. Um, and I always had this interest in things that were more for the guys. Um, I don't see it like this anymore because I think that everybody should just do whatever they like. It doesn't matter if it's meant for a woman or a guy. But back then, it wasn't like that, and my interests were just so different than my female friends. And when I was at a high school, I just found myself just hanging out with the guys more than with the girls, because we were talking about computers, we were talking about cars, and and I'm still a super girly girl. I love makeup and fashion and all that stuff, but I don't know how to describe myself. And I always have this thing that I just want to, if I do something, I gotta be the best at it. And same goes for music and this career. I just want to continue doing this and try to be the best as I can be, and not just in a female part. I don't care about that. I just want to be on par with the male, with the male DJs. And yeah, so that's what's keeping me going. And I'm just extremely driven and motivated person. I always been like this. I was always very competitive at school as well. And yeah, I just love to just being driven and just do different things. And just like with the compilation, it was just awesome because my label, Coal Harbor Recordings, they approved the idea, and I could just work on this whole project myself and like come up with the design and how I want things and how I want things to look like and sound like. So I'm just a control freak. So I don't know if I answered your question.
Well, you did. So to kind of segue into the compilation, I want to congratulate you on being number 1 on Beatport
Thank
for
you.
compilation. So what motivated you to kind of continue the series? I know you had Follow Me released last year in 2019.
Yeah.
And I know this year's just been crazy because it's 2020, but what has been the most surprising thing about releasing this compilation? And mainly, has it been that it also kind of coincide with State of Trance and also all of us watching your Twitch streams? What has been kind of surprising about the success of the compilation?
I think the biggest surprise was actually last year when the first one came out, and I honestly, it was a test. Like, we didn't know what to expect. I mean, I have a fan base, but I just didn't know how it's gonna go down and how people are gonna, if people are gonna like it. And it was just a huge pressure because I never did something like that before. But I knew that I had a really cool tracks for the compilation because I was collecting them for like a half a year till I was ready to actually mix it. And the feedback was absolutely amazing. And yeah, the sales and everything. So I was talking to my label and they were like, yeah, absolutely, we're gonna do number 2. We're gonna do another one next year. And yeah, let's just do like a yearly compilation, just like Marcus had his city series. He hasn't done one in a couple of years now, but that compilation was also huge. I remember when Dark Harbor was on it and it just blew out. So I knew that compilations, even though it's not an artist album, can do a lot, and it's just something that you can add into your, how do you say, into your resume, or how can I say it? So Follow Me 2 was definitely a plan. It's just it was a little bit delayed because I wanted it to be out in July, just like last year, but because of all the corona stuff, it's just everything is delayed these days, and artists are struggling a little bit with inspiration, and just everybody's a little bit it's quite challenging at the moment. But I'm glad that we released it this month, and the feedback has been absolutely amazing. And within 24 hours, we sold all the 100 signed copies of the CD, which was amazing. I was really shocked. And the support on Twitch, like you said, the Twitch family is absolutely amazing. Every week they are there for the set. And it's just so awesome to talk to my fans, because that's the only way at the moment, which is of course sad that this is the only way, but I'm glad we have at least that.
Do you think that, I know the goal will be once coronavirus ends and everybody can get back to touring, that's the goal, but do you also think that you will continue doing sets on Twitch?
I think so. Yeah, I think so.
And I've noticed that, like, Fisherman's been doing them as well, and you guys have kind of done some back-to-back stuff. Will that kind of continue? You guys have collaborated on, one of my favorite collaborations of yours and Fisherman's was Attack from last year. So are you guys planning on any more collaborations going forward?
Yeah, absolutely. We were just releasing our collaboration remix, which is also featured on Follow Me 2. We did a remix of Kamaya Painters, which is a huge classic by Tiesto and Benno de Huy from, I don't know, year 2000 or something. And so we did that, and we're definitely gonna work on some more collabs as well. I am starting to work on my artist album, so that would be something for next year, and I definitely want to have something with Fisherman on it, of course.
Well, that's exciting. I'm looking forward to the artist album for next year. Great. So I know recently, like there was stuff like opening up in Europe, but it's locked down again, correct?
Yeah, absolutely.
So before that, didn't you announce you had a release party that like sold
Mhm.
out? Did that happen, or I don't
No,
know.
there was literally, we announced it, and I think that 4 days later, the Dutch government announced that they're going to be closing everything again. So it's not going to happen, and we just decided to cancel it because the tickets were quite expensive for it. And we just don't want to keep people's money because we just don't know what's going to happen. And it seems like it's not. The Dutch government said it was 2 weeks, but we don't think it's going to be 2 weeks. And we just didn't want to postpone it again, since we have another show, like the back-to-back show with Fisherman, which is postponed to next year, also like 1/3 sold out. And it just doesn't make any sense to just keep people's money, so we decided to cancel it. Unfortunately, I was really looking forward because it was for 100 people, and we were planning to stream it as well on Twitch, like a really cool stream. So it's a normal club setting because the club normally holds 600 people. But yeah, it's not going to happen. So I'm at least happy that we did the promotional video set from Germany that was streamed everywhere for the compilation. And yeah, we'll just continue with Twitch till things are gonna look a little bit brighter.
I wanted to talk about that, like the from Germany, your stream, because that seemed really like cool, and I loved the aerial shots from the drone footage. What was
Yeah.
it like shooting that? Because I've seen some other artists kind of do something similar recently. So what has been the highlight from releasing that video?
Well, just the feedback. I mean, people absolutely love the location, and trust me, it was not an easy location because how high I was, we needed like 100 meters of power cable. And there were very narrow stairs where I didn't bring anything up because I was the DJ, but Fisherman was helping to bring the DJ booth up and the table and the gear, and it was not easy, and it was extremely exhausting. I felt really bad for the guys, but now when we see the result, we are like, yeah, it was definitely worth it. But it was not easy. But yeah, it was really cool, and I was a little bit scared when I was going up the stairs because it was really narrow, and when I was looking down, I was getting really dizzy. But once I was on the highest deck there, it was okay.
Yeah, I was gonna wonder about the height situation, how it was to DJ that high up, because it looked cool, but I was just worried about like, was that if you're afraid of heights, that would have been an issue.
Yeah, just going up the stairs, it was a little bit scary because the stairs were not full. There were like gaps between them, and it was just, yeah. I was like, when we were going, because we knew the location, we did a photo shoot there, but we never went up there. And I just did, we went there for the first time on the day we were shooting. So I'm like, that's not going to happen. When we were halfway to the top, and I'm like, that's not going to happen because it's just super narrow. How the hell you guys are gonna go up there with all the gear? I'm pretty sure we are not doing it. So we need to find a different spot. But at the end, we just were like, no, we're gonna do it here, and that's it. So yeah. And it was also because we had to be somewhere where the public couldn't come, because that park is actually like a sightseeing, spot, and people just go there and look around because this is like a old coal and steel plant, which was built in 19 yeah 1901 or something. And basically now it's abandoned. I mean, nothing is happening there, but it's a sightseeing spot, and it's very famous here in this area. And we were told, like, yeah, we can do this, but nobody is allowed. And we wanted to do a set at this location already 1 year ago. We were planning that, but we were planning it with the public. So we would have we would create like a secret event, and we would shoot it with actual crowd of like maybe 200 people. But yeah, this time we couldn't do that because of the corona stuff, and so we were only allowed to use the deck, which was closed for the public.
Well, I think it turned out well, regardless of like your changes. So awesome, and I will definitely also probably share the link in the description to that video to make sure that people will check it out so they know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So you mentioned artist album for next year. Is there any other plans that you can talk about that you're looking forward to, or are you just kind of waiting to see what happens with events coming back? What are you looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to, once everything will be open, that I can go back to touring, because I really miss that. You know, in March when it all started, I was supposed to have like a North American tour, which was completely canceled, of course. And right after that, I was supposed to have so many other shows. I had like 25 shows that were canceled at that time, and it just really sucked. I mean, you know, when you have the whole year planned and you know what you're gonna do, and suddenly it's all gone, like nothing was planned ever. And just, I was like, for the first 2 weeks, I was really depressed because I just didn't know what we're gonna do, and like, is how long this is gonna stay. And you know, even then people were like, yeah, save the summer and stuff. And yeah, now it even sounds funny. Save the summer, when yeah, we don't know if next summer is gonna happen. So I'm just looking forward to be back on tour, and to meet my fans again, and yeah, just party with people in front of me. And I was lucky because I had 2 shows in this summer. One in Slovakia, which was a boat party, and one in Poland. And I had more offers for Slovakia and also Czech Republic, and everything got canceled because of how bad the situation got. So yeah, I'm not even thinking about shows at this very moment, because I just want the whole thing to clear, and just once we know what is happening, then I can start to look forward to things again, because at this moment is more disappointment.
Understood. But I'm glad that we do have Twitch, because
Yeah,
it's been nice to see everybody kind of join on Twitch from all over the world.
no, absolutely. I was so new to the streaming world. I mean, I did some sets here and there on YouTube, but it was just different. And just figuring out the whole Twitch thing and how things work, and what kind of camera you need, how to set it up, all these things, you know, it was just really stressful at the beginning. Like, I was so new to this, but now we figure it out, and we love streaming, absolutely. And like I said, it's the highlight of the week every Thursday when I have my stream, for example. And I can just chat with people, and just seeing them in the chat room and talking. It's fun. It's really fun. I'm really glad for this, because this is definitely saving a lot of us from being way too depressed.
I agree. I think it's been great. I've been around on Twitch for years, but not until recently, when everybody joined and music became so prevalent on Twitch, that I've been popping in. So it's been great. Before we go, because I don't want to take up too much of your time, I do want to talk about, do you have any advice for maybe anybody that will listen to this that may be thinking about getting into DJing or producing in the future, that may be, um, apprehensive? I know, with times right now, it's uncertain, but do you have any advice for those based on what you've experienced going forward?
My own experience was that at the beginning I got a lot of hate, and just people were just trying to put me down because I was a woman. So for me, it was definitely different from, I would say, a guy who is starting. As a woman, it's so much different. And but I think the same thing goes for everybody, is that you don't get discouraged. If this is what you really want to do and this is your life, I dedicated my life to this, then just go for it and just give it your everything, and just never get discouraged by people trying to put you down or saying things are not possible, because if you work hard enough, everything is possible.
Great. Well, thank you, Nifra, for joining me. I appreciate it. I've been wanting to talk to you for a while, and I know, like I said, I'll put some links in the description for the video that we talked about, as well as your compilation for those who haven't checked it out to pick up a copy. But other than Twitch on Thursdays after A State of Trance, where can people find you on social media?
They can find me on Facebook, facebook.com/Nifra, Instagram.com/DJ Nifra, Twitter.com/Nifra, YouTube.com/DJ Nifra, and all these. I'm everywhere.
Well, awesome. Well, thank you again for joining, and I'm looking forward to what the future holds for you, as well as the Cold Harbor family.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.